The ayes to the right, 308. The noes to the left, 322.
The ayes to the right, 308. The noes to the left, 322. So the noes have it. The noes have it. Unlock. Point of order, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Saturday, this House emphatically rejected the Prime Minister's deal. Tonight, the House has... Well, you're too hasty. I've not finished yet. Tonight, the House has refused to be bounced into debating a hugely significant piece of legislation in just 2 days, with barely any notice and an analysis of the economic impact of this bill. The Prime Minister is the author of his own misfortune. So I make this offer to him tonight. Work with us, all of us, to agree a reasonable timetable, and I suspect this House will vote to debate, scrutinise and, I hope, amend the detail of this bill. That would be the sensible way forward, and that's the offer I make on behalf of the opposition tonight.
Point of order, the Prime Minister.
Point of order. Let me say in response, Mr. Speaker, how welcome it is, even joyful, that for the first time in this long saga, this House has actually accepted its responsibilities come together and embraced a deal. I congratulate honourable members across the House on the scale of our collective achievement, because just a few weeks ago hardly anybody believed that we could reopen the withdrawal agreement, let alone abolish the backstop. That is indeed what they were saying. And certainly nobody thought that we could secure the approval of the House for a new deal. And we should not overlook the significance of this moment. And I pay particular tribute to those members of the House who were sceptical and who had difficulties and doubts and who decided to place the national interest ahead of any other consideration. But, Mr. Speaker, I must express my disappointment that the House has again voted for delay, rather than a timetable that would have guaranteed that the UK would be in a position to leave the EU on October the 31st with a deal. And we now face further uncertainty, and the EU must now make up their minds over how to answer Parliament's request for a delay. And the first consequence, Mr. Speaker, is that the government must take the only responsible course and accelerate our preparations for a no-deal outcome. But secondly, I will speak to EU member states about their intentions until they have reached a decision. Until they have reached a decision, I must say, we will pause this legislation.
President Trump has just tweeted that the acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Kevin McAleenan, has he's out. Kevin McAleenan has done an outstanding job as acting Secretary of Homeland Security. We have worked well together with border crossings being way down. Kevin now, after many years in government, wants to spend more time with his family and go to the private sector. Congratulations, Kevin, on a job well done. I will be announcing the new acting secretary next week. Many wonderful candidates. Well, that list is shorter than it was, 4 times ago, because McAleenan is the 4th person to head the Department of Homeland Security under President Trump, and he's only been there since April. Pamela Brown out front live outside the White House. So, Pamela, the old I'm going to spend more time with my family. What are you learning?
Well, a source is telling my colleague Jay Tapper tonight, Aaron, that Kevin McAleenan turned in his resignation today here at the White House. And a source says that actually White House officials tried to tell him not to resign, but he did so because, according to the source speaking to my colleague Jay Tapper, it was something he wanted to do because he felt like he had done the job he was set out to do Border crossings are down. He had done a lot of the work that he had hoped to accomplish, and he wants to spend more time with his family. Now, this isn't a total shock. We have been reporting for a while that he was not expected to remain in that job, and he's been acting Homeland Security Secretary since April. He was not expected to ever be given the permanent position. And a source telling my colleague Jake Tapper that also this has been in the works for weeks. In fact, just last week, Aaron, as you'll recall, McAleenan had told the Washington Post in an interview that he felt like he couldn't run his own department because there were other players within the department who had the president's ear. They would go around him, and he felt like he didn't have full control. And that was seen to many as sort of a sign that he wouldn't be in his position much longer. But according to sources tonight, Aaron, McAleenan is leaving on his own terms, turning in that resignation letter to the president, and the president just announcing this on Twitter moments ago.
Just out this morning, a brand new CNN poll finds public support for impeaching and removing President Trump from office on the rise. But the president's approval rating overall is staying steady. Let's bring back David Shalian to break down the numbers for us. What are you seeing, David?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, here's that numeric high. 50%, half the country in this poll just released by CNN, conducted by SSRS. Should Trump be impeached and removed from office? 50% say yes, 43% say no. Take a look at this over time, and you'll see that it's the high water mark. Over the course of this year, the pro-impeachment and removal number has grown. Last month, it was at 47%. It is now at 50%. Take a look at where this stands by party. 87% of Democrats would like to see the president impeached and removed. 50% of independents, representing where the country overall is, and only 6% of Republicans. So obviously divided politically. And I want to give you another example of that. We asked folks, do you think congressional Democrats are doing this mostly because they believe Donald Trump committed impeachable offenses, or they're just out to get the president at all costs? Where you sit politically matters for everything. Look here. Among Democrats, 86% say they're doing it because the president committed impeachable offenses. But among Republicans, only 8% believe that. 87% of Republicans say Democrats are doing this to just get the president at all costs. You mentioned his approval rating. It is holding steady. It's now 41% approve, 57% disapprove. This is basically where we've seen him throughout the bulk of his presidency. This here may be the most important number overall. 90% of Republicans approve of the president's job performance. If you're looking for cracks with Republicans in Congress, you may need an awfully big magnifying glass when they see that number there. And then take a look at where President Trump is historically. Okay? Compared to his modern-era predecessors at this point in their presidency, he's down near the bottom of the pack, only above Carter. But I will note that the four gentlemen ahead of him who were also in the 40s all got reelected to second terms, Allison.
These are really telling numbers, David. It's so interesting to see just how divided the parties are in terms of their impressions of all of this.
And frankly, more so over the last 2 weeks. If there's been movement, that's where the movement has been.